Ace Pineapple's back in stock at Publix. Well, good thirsty Thursday evening to you. How are you doing, folks? Welcome to the show. And we have a guest tonight, so everybody better behave or else I'll write you up. I hope you're all having a positively wonderful evening, though. It's good to see you, and it's good to be seen by you. I, of course, am Bill Sylvie, a.k.a. the Dungeon Delver, coming at you on this wonderful evening. And it is wonderful because we've got some fun stuff to show, and we've got a really cool guest who'll be in just a minute. Just want to mention up a couple of quick things. Yes, I am aware of the Luke Gygax Trollord Games announcement about Yigsburg. Congratulations to them and all the work they did. All the writing that they put in, and good luck to them on the Castle Zagging. I have the copy for Castles and Crusades. It's on a shelf here somewhere. It's over here. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what comes next. But anyway, so I hope you're all having a good one. And as I said, I got the only 6-pack of it at Publix currently. Where were you all summer, Ace Pineapple? I ask the can. This is my second one this evening. I love this stuff. Unfortunately, they are not a show sponsor or anything like that. But you know who is a show sponsor? Our friends over at Hellebarde Games. Hellebarde makes the kind of adventures that they'd like to play. Whether it's 5th edition, Castles and Crusades, or the OSR, Old School is in play at the table with Hellebarde Games. And you can check them out on DriveThruRPG or on their website, hellebardegames.com. And somebody else I want to thank, well, someone in the large sense of the word, the general broad sense of the word, is I've lost track. We're at like 4,785, 86 subscriptions on the channel now. We've jumped up like 7 or 8 since yesterday. Thank you all so very much for your continued support of the channel and what I do. You know, I'm just one guy. I'm just out here swinging for the fences with every pitch that's thrown at me. And I'm also catching and shortstopping and running and coaching and managing and equipment manager. And sometimes I'm driving the bus to get the team to the next venue too. So all of you guys who've subscribed are out there in the bleachers, and I really appreciate it. I really, really do. I mean it. So if you're just stopping by for the first time, if you checked out my extensive collection of live streams and informative news videos that I've been putting out about tabletop role-playing games, but you haven't made the decision, please do click the subscribe button, click the bell icon for notifications so you can find out when it is I do this. But I'll give you a little spoiler. I'll give you a little hint. 5 nights a week, Monday to Friday, we talk about matters of the old school. And we play Advanced Dungeons and Dragons on Tuesday. We play Gamma World on Friday. My co-host on Wednesdays, Kyle, is looking to get another game going. So that's 3 nights a week of gaming goodness, 5 nights a week of old school, general goodness, and you can't, you can't miss it. You don't want to miss it, because occasionally, guess what? I have some luminaries in the hobby on this show. Jim Ward, the artist Darlene, Diesel LaForce, Errol Otis, Alan Hammock, oh gosh, Steve Marsh I've had on. Tracy Lesh is a show regular. So you don't want to miss. You really don't want to miss. And the last thing I'll say, and then we're gonna get Bill on, because my gosh. The last thing I'm going to mention is, if you'd like to support the show financially, for as little as $1 a month over on Patreon, or $2 a month as a YouTube membership, you can support the show. At the $10 level, whether you're on Patreon or as a YouTube member, guess what? Every month you'll get a short form advanced Dungeons and Dragons first edition module to slot into your campaign, or perhaps to jumpstart a campaign. Maybe you're going to go to a comic store and introduce people who've never played first edition advanced Dungeons and Dragons to the game, and you're like, what have I got that will fill 3 or 4 or 5 hours, but won't leave people going, well, that didn't have a resolution to it? We're going to be bringing you that at the $10 support level, if that's something you'd like to do. But hey, that's enough of me flapping my gums, and boy, have they been flapping. I talk about the old school a lot on this show because I love it. One of the first recollections for me in the hobby of Dungeons and Dragons was seeing miniatures, even right at or just before seeing rule books, was seeing miniatures. They looked cool. And the coolest miniature in 1980, no doubt, hands down, was this bad girl right here, the Grenadier Red Dragon. Now, if you haven't been following this saga for about 2 months now, and I asked you guys, so this is partially your fault, but I said, if I could get Bill over at Paint Minis Live to paint a mini up for us, and he had already volunteered, he had already asked, he had put the question out there. But if he was to paint a mini on his channel, what would you want it to be? And I put it up to a vote. I put it to you guys. I wanted to know what you wanted to see painted. And I gave you some choices: Grenadier Hirelings, Grenadier Wizard's Lair, or the Grenadier Red Dragon, or some Space Marines. Overwhelmingly, you guys chose the Red Dragon. And tonight is the culmination of your voting. Will be on display. We're going to talk to Bill about it, because he worked like a soldier. Look, Paint Minis Live on YouTube. Go watch the multiple streams, and shame on you guys. Get those numbers up on those streams and go watch the trials and tribulations he went through painting this mini and getting this mini back to me. But let's let him tell you a little bit more about that. And we're going to welcome Bill now. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome tonight's guest, please. The inimitable, the one and to date only, Bill T. from Paint Minis Live.
Bill, hi there, everybody. So good to see everybody. Hi to the Dungeon Delver crew over here. Thank you guys for all your love and support. And I know I've got many, kind of not a convert, but another kind of teammate, so to speak, with between our two channels. I know there's a lot of the people that watch you have come over and taken a look at my stuff. So I want to say thank you to everybody for checking me out too. Good to see you, Bill.
Good to see you too, Bill. But anyway, is your name not Bruce then? Man, I got to tell you something. First of all, I wish I had fully intended to do this. Why did I not do this? Okay. I sent the dragon to Bill in a way that I thought was fairly well packaged. And then the good men and women at USPS said, hold our pineapple beer. And it arrived to him in less than good condition. Bill said, I'm going to show this jackass down in Florida how to properly package something fragile. Once again, USPS said, hold my beer.
If you can later, you should definitely show them how that was packed, because that thing was like, it's built like a tank. It's got like foam inserts and stuff in there. Like you guys will see a little later, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's impressively. My wife and my two daughters have cats. I had to get rid of the peanuts post haste, right? But even so, you guys will see how, like, this is like this is like stuff you get like back in the 90s if you bought a Silicon Graphics computer. Like, this is the level of custom foam cutting that you'd get for that, right? But yeah, no, they still managed to jack it up some. So through no fault of Bill's or of mine, Azarath does need a little bit of TLC, but you know what? It's a miniature. It's meant to be played with, and it's meant to be touched, and it's meant to be moved around. It's going to need some doctoring up. And you guys might see that on camera. I've got a little bit of a scene. Bill, do you want to look at the miniature for a minute and kind of show her off in her completed glory? Do you want to talk about it first? What do you want to do? You are my guest. I am your host. What would you like to do?
Well, thanks, Bill. I think it would be kind of nice. Why don't we do a quick tour of Azarath, and maybe I can point out a couple little bits here and there of, just places that I personally find interesting, or, technically interesting.
Now, I do have my laser pointer, so hopefully this will work to point out some things. And we're going to switch over to Studio View 2. Now, I don't have the super cool Lazy Susan that you do, but I've got a pretty good HD camera angle on her there. So let's see if we can go over to Studio View 2. And can you hear me okay, Bill?
Wow. Look at that. Holy man.
So you can't really see it. So her right wing over here is the injured wing. And there's a spot with Bill's direction. I'm going to let him walk me through touching that up. Not tonight. We're going to have some fun tonight, folks, and Bill. We're going to have some fun with this mini here in a little bit. But this is her. This is the Grenadier Red Dragon's Lair. And I don't know if you went looking for painting references from like Grenadier ads or closely examined the box. You captured the essence of what this mini is supposed to look like. It's 1979. You've just gone to Lionel Play World. You've pestered mom and dad to let you spend your $8.99 of 6 months of allowance. And you bought this, and with a steady hand, you've rendered it so. And it is an absolute banger of a miniature, and I absolutely love everything about it. I'm gonna go into the camera controls, and I'm gonna try and pan the camera up a little bit. That is, let's see. Come on, there we go. So camera control, and we're going to tilt up just a little bit. Is that working? That is absolutely not working.
Yeah, I see everybody in the chat rolling up with all the comments, and I thank you, Bill. Thank you, everybody in the chat. It was Azarath here, which is a great name, by the way, Bill. Azarath here. This particular paint job was roughly, I want to say, around 18 hours worth of work.
Wow.
In this one paint up. It's way out of my wheelhouse. I'm kind of like I'm really big into the Warhammer 40K scene, but and this was kind of a new challenge to me. But I did definitely go and like went through a ton of reference material, like the research phase of this. I know because I blew up your inbox. I did. I was like, Bill, what do you want? Like, let's talk about it. I need to know everything. I want to know, like, if you tell me chartreuse, I'm going to need to know just how much white pigment has got to be in that chartreuse color.
Right.
Thing. I was pumped to the brim to have the chance to to paint this. But yeah, I definitely went through, the box art was basically the biggest kind of reference material I had. I looked at one other person who had a dragon of similar, I don't think it was this particular version, but it was a similar dragon that I could find. There's very few pictures of this thing actually painted that I could find. But I did go through and look at the box art, and I was trying to replicate a lot of that in there to some goofy points too. We tried out a couple of different experiments on Azarath here. Some of them played out way better than others. Bill, you know what I'm talking about.
Yes, the only pump the brakes moment. Okay, so if you have this mini, or if you pull up this mini's box online, you'll notice that the painter took some very 70s psychedelic license with the supposed to be translucent, I guess, skin of her wings, and they did this watery oil effect. And it's like I said, it is very 70s psychedelic. And I suppose a mini artist could probably maybe get in there with oil washes and stuff like that and replicate that or freehand it on. Mm-hmm. Bill was trying it, and I was just like, let's go with a solid color. Let's go with the solid color, because it was turning out polka dotted, and right there, because you were at the library, I think, or not the library, Mike, the game store.
The library's great too, but
I was at from the game store, and right there you were like, yeah, just grab the airbrush and went back to town with it. So.
I love using the airbrush for these kinds of models that are just a little bit bigger than your standard, Dungeons and Dragons size models, because that, it took me a little while to try to do the polka dot thing. But once I looked at it and I was like, man, okay, yeah, we're just going to spray right over this. And within 10 minutes, you got a brand new coat of paint that looks like, there's barely nothing under it. So you can really try some fun things, and then if you don't like it, just rebase coat it all over again, and in 10 minutes you're onto a new idea.
Yeah, and that that's one thing I tell people, and I am not approaching Bill's level of acumen, but just real quick, Bill, I'm gonna bring this center focus if I can, and just so you guys can get a slightly better look at that. But you can see my computer. Speaking of psychedelic, you can catch my computer monitor in the background over there. But no, I'm nowhere near the level of skill that Bill has. But one thing that I learned painfully the hard way. But anybody who said, I can't paint minis, man, I can't. You can start over. Simple green, 10 minutes and a toothbrush, and you can start over. It's not, even like the old masters of paintings over the years, they've discovered by x-raying them that like the Mona Lisa's face is in 8 poses before Da Vinci settled on the one that he liked. So you can always start over, guys. Don't get caught up in it has to be just perfect. It doesn't. It has to be something that you love. And the fact that Bill just and rebase coated the wings and has them looking beautiful, I think is a living testament to that. Because it is just a beautiful piece, and it's not just the dragon. I'm actually gonna have to get up and try and bring this into focus, because you can see sitting in front of her are these gorgeous eggs that Bill painted. She's got a clutch of 3 eggs. She's going to be a busy mother because she's got 2 hatchlings that did not get painted. Funny story there. but Bill did just a gorgeous job on these eggs, and I want to make sure you guys can see those. Now, Bill, throw your URL to me in the chat. I think I get, unless I got you right, Paint Minis Live or youtube.com at Paint Minis Live is you on YouTube, right?
Yep, that's right. That's
okay,
right
all right, I did get it right. So, you guys, it's right down. It's right down in the description. You guys can just go right down there in the description. So let me tiptoe over there and see if I can bring the eggs into focus. Now, I can't see this, so if I don't do this right, I'll only know when I come back to this side of the monitors and see you guys saying, focus, I can't see that. All I can see is your hand or whatever. But I'm going to try and put them right about where her hands are, where it looks like she's lifting a lovely rack, except of course she doesn't have one. So, Bill, while I'm doing that, you tell everyone a little bit about the process while I'm trying to show these eggs off. Okay?
Sure thing. Sounds good. Well, so first off, I wanted to just, some people were asking, how heavy is this mini? It's actually pretty heavy. This is a tank of a miniature, and it's cast in lead, right, Bill? I believe you said it was cast in lead. But it is really heavy. After a while, like, my hand would start to get fatigued from holding this thing in just specific ways. But you guys can kind of see there, I did kind of a speckled egg pattern with the little Azarath Jr. But basically the process starts off with just your bare metal mini. And Bill had this kind of primed, but I went back and I did my own primer over it. I started with like a dark neutral gray color to have some shadow that I could kind of just start to form. It's almost like sculpting in a way, just forming shadow and light from it. But started with a dark gray primer, and then I worked on getting some base coating done on various parts of the dragon. Like, the big base coat color is obviously that the mahogany kind of color. You can kind of see it towards the toes, but I started off with that color as another kind of layer of shadowing, followed by a kind of a burnt red, which you can see under the arms of the miniature. And then finally a really obnoxious fire engine red for the highlights. Fire engine red is my favorite color. I come from a family of firefighters, and like, it's like my favorite color. I loved painting that, like watching the highlights just curl onto that mini. It was so much fun. Just that one step. After that, kind of went and tackled the belly region with a kind of off yellow taupe color, maybe, followed by some washes. Like, I think it was a brown wash that I did over that, and it really gave it a nice scale effect on the kind of breast scales of Azarath. And after that, it's just kind of picking out little details like the snout. The tongue has a couple different color greens in it, although one's really kind of just the only color green that's shown up there. I guess where the horns attach to the head has a couple different color grays. I guess the claws, they have the same kind of technique as the belly of the beast. And then the wings were just a standard kind of flesh tone with a wash over it. A lot of it is just kind of using the airbrush to your advantage and just, hitting it at specific angles to make certain effects. The yellow along the like thigh piece of Azarath and along the head too, that's actually a transparent color made by Monument Hobbies, which I am like, they don't sponsor me either. Like, Bill, if you get a beer sponsor, will you ever share any of your beer with me? Because I'll definitely share you some paint if I ever happen to get picked up by Monument, because I love their stuff.
if I tell you what, if Ace Breweries ever does a sponsorship on my show, I will make sure they send you at least a 6-pack of Ace Pineapple.
There we go. That's what I like
I'm
to hear.
absolutely safe in saying it's like being safe in saying, hey, if I get 10,000 subs, I'll have a in real life convention. It's not going to happen. I can make that. Hey, if I get 10,000 subs, I'll Kenneth will dress up like Genie for My Dream of Genie and dance on all the gaming tables at the real life convention. I can do that because it's not going to happen. But no, I will absolutely share some. I owe you a bit. So the next time you're in Orlando, or if you ever make it down here, the drinks are on me, buddy. We'll go down to Gods and Monsters, and I'll make sure you're appropriately hydrated.
All right. Well, I mean, who knows what the future holds? I've got some Disney nuts in the family, so maybe they're itching to go down. So I'll have to. I might actually end up taking you up on that offer sometime in the future. That'd be a lot of fun.
I look forward to it. Vaughn, you're asking about zooming in on the face details. I will at some point dismount the DSLR and use it for its intended purpose, not as a glorified, overcomplicated webcam, but I will I will shoot some continuous or some close-up video of it in 4K or 1080 and upload it to YouTube.
I'm really excited to see that too, by the way. I want to compliment you on the setting too. Holy crap, man. Does that look cool?
Oh, it's just some Dwarven Forge down there. It was already on the table. I was like, I'll set it in the middle of the pentagram piece. So let's talk a little bit about the base, because I want to turn off branding and everything, because I want you guys to be able to see this, and then I'm going to put it back in the middle here real quick. I'm going to push Bill out. So what you're seeing, that yellow gold pile in the front there, is the original Grenadier base. What she is standing on is a 3D printed resin base, because there's a couple of reasons, and I'll bring Bill back and I'll explain this. What you're supposed to do with the Mini is either have her kind of sit standing on the base, or making her look like she's in flight by drilling a hole in her foot and drilling a hole in the base, and then using the instructions specifically say a length of brass rod. And then you attach her there. I love that base as scatter terrain for a dungeon. Like if I ever want to have, like, the party goes in and, there's the evil overlord and he's just got a Scrooge McDuck treasure pile that he can swim in. I've got one of those now. So I was like, hey, hold up. Let me 3D print a base, which is what she is actually standing on. So I get a little bit more utility out. And plus, even though there are a few coins on the base she's on, if I move her around on the terrain a little bit, it's not like I don't have to adjust for this massive treasure pile. Like, okay, she's coming down the hall, or she's in this cave, but she's not actually in the. I can't actually put the Mini in there because it's on this 3-inch wide and 2-inch deep treasure base. So I've got a little bit more manageable base underneath her, and then I can use the metal base, which you can see there, which I'll step up and pick that up for a hot minute if you want to tell people about how that came together, and then they can take a gander at the treasure pile, and then we're gonna do some fun stuff with that treasure pile here in just a hot minute. So let me
sure. There's a quick question for you from the chat here, Bill, that I think you're probably more apt to answer. Calvinani wants to ask, the problem with this dragon is the wings tend to slowly bend down, and they want to know about the pinning, of the wings. Like, are you planning on like fixing that, or like how does that process do?
Okay, so when I first bought this dragon, I got this on eBay for $36. I think the cheapest I saw an incomplete one in box today for 60. She doesn't have any babies, but everything else is there on eBay. So if you want one, I guess go get it. But
you can commission me to paint it for you.
Yeah, there you go.
Whatever color you want.
But when I first got her and I was like, hey, I'm going to paint this here in just a couple of months. It's going to be awesome. I went to a friend of mine who did a lot of scale modeling. And I was like, hey, what glue should I use? And he was like, well, the first thing you have to do is pin it. And then he brought out his professional Dremel and shot, nails, like 1 penny nails in as posts for her wings. Since then, because of mishandling, her right wing hasn't come detached, because the pin is still there, the pin is still in her, the pin is still in the wing, but it moves. The glue around the pin has broken. And so this comes to an interesting point. I meant to actually purchase the stuff for this today, but there's a wonderful substance called epoxy, not epoxy, epoxy sculpt. And it comes in several different colors. I'm going to buy their multicolor set. Because it's just good stuff to have around if you're working with minis at all. And basically what I'm going to do is use that to anchor and build up and hold her wing still with red. I'm still going to paint it again, but I just won't have to start with white or with yellow or gray and really build up the paint. I'll start with red, and then I'll try just like a base coat and then a little bit of ink and then a little bit of highlight to hold that wing in place. So yes, she's pinned everywhere, but I do know about the wing bending problem. If you go, there's a piece, John Dennett, who worked for Grenadier and sculpted a lot of stuff, is on Facebook. And someone asked him if he did the Emerald Dragon, which was a Games Workshop, a Grenadier post Grenadier exclusive TSR deal. And most of the time when you find them, it's on its base, but it's tilted at about a 50-degree angle. And the wings are bending either straight down or forward or some sort of thing. And of course you can bend it back up, but then it's just going to bend back over and you'll bend it back. And eventually one day it's going to snap. And John said when they showed him the sculpt in the office, like, hey, isn't this neat? He was like, hey, you're going to put brass rods in there, right? You're going to spend 5 cents on every model and put brass rods in there so it stays standing up for 20 years instead of slowly starting to bend. And they laughed at him, like, 5 cents on a model? Why? Well, now when you find Emerald Dragon minis on eBay, they're basically curling into a ball. And this dragon is no exception. If you see completed ones, a lot of times you'll see that the wings have drooped back down, or you'll see them that have old paint jobs on them, and you can very, very clearly see that the wings are broken if they're detached. They're not like the little tabs that they slotted into the body with aren't there because they're in the body, because they were repeatedly flexed back up and eventually snapped off. So I'll be reinforcing her with epoxy. Again, I'm going to let Bill talk to you, and I'm going to show off that treasure base just a little bit. I'll be right back.
So I guess while Bill's doing that, I'll lay you through the treasure base and that kind of procedure. I started off again with the kind of dark gray primer. If I had a white, I'd probably go with that. But I just sprayed it white right after. And then went to a yellow after that, which is a great color to put gold metallic paints on, because gold metallic paints, they've got the metal part of it, like the flecked part of it, and then the agent inside of there has some color too, the acrylic binder and whatnot that they have in there. But it's kind of transparent, so I tend to just put some yellow on with that. And then I went over it with the metallic gold. I start off with a kind of a dark gold color. Again, all my stuff's from Monument Hobbies, so you can take a look at their metallics for that. And then I went to a kind of a white gold highlighting, and I did some dry brushing on the coins to kind of bring out some more flavor from that hunk of lead there. And I think kind of the wrap up step for the gold was putting a brown wash over it. To be honest, I think if you put a nice brown wash over some gold, or maybe even like a red, it really brings out some cool effect in the like coins and the little humps that they have in them. Kind of gives it more texture too. That's not really there. It's just, but it looks textured.
Yeah, it really, really does. I mean, brown ink is just so wonderful. Any bright color, a splash of brown ink will make it pop so much more. I know nothing about color theory, so I'm not sure why, but it is absolutely amazing. Now, Vaughn asked a question. PML, I'll let you answer it, but I'd like to answer it. It depends on what you're painting. It really does depend on what you're painting. Warhammer 40K minis, if you do if you start with black primer and then do a zenithal highlight of white before you start painting on them, you've got, back me up on this, Bill, you've got like 35% of your color scheme is done right there.
Yeah, I mean, this guy right here, which I don't think my webcam is going to have the kind of focus I want it to right now, but this little zombie guy right here, this guy is actually primed in black. And then the rest of the colors kind of go over it. But what that black allows you to do too, or in, like a neutral gray, what it allows you to do too is you kind of can skip a step. If there's a place that looks like it should just have shadow, leave it the primer color. Like, why not? Save yourself some time. And I mean, I think the only kind of argument for primer color, in my personal opinion, would be, if you're doing something dark and foreboding, like, some Warhammer 40K guys or what have you, one of those looking things, that dark black will bring out richness in color. It'll mute the color as well. It'll give it a very kind of grim appearance to it. Whereas if you prime a model in white, on the other hand, and you put your colors over that, that white, depending on how much paint you put down, will brighten it up. It'll give it more of a whimsical fantasy, high fantasy feel to it. And if it just kind of depends on where you want to go. Otherwise, I kind of just prime everything in gray because I can make it black if I want to later, or I can make it white with the airbrush really quickly. But if you're just painting with a brush, I think the primer color would matter a bit more then, because like I said, you're going to be dealing with having to put on layers of paint rather than the airbrush that can do that really quickly. So I guess that's kind of the quick rundown of paint primer colors for your models. But if you're going to paint a model, make sure you prime it. That's like step number one. No matter what you're going to do, just make sure you prime it and prime it about as light as you can, so that you maintain all that beautiful detail that you paid for. And that's what I wanted to do with Azarath here. I made sure that I primed Azarath with about as thin as I could go on the primer, to keep all that beautiful detail.
Now, Bill and I are on kind of different streets here. We both agree that priming is good and you want to prime. I firmly believe that regardless of what you're priming in, a thin watery coat of primer brushed on is all you need. A wash of primer, if you will. You just need something strong enough to bond the paint to. Too thick of a primer and you obliterate detail right out of the gate.
Yeah.
So I personally, I have a bottle. I'm gonna have a proper memorial for it when it's finished because it's on its last legs. I have a bottle of Vallejo white primer that I got literally 23 years ago. It's a 2.5. That should tell you how little I paint. But then I thin my primer. You know, everybody makes a joke, thin your paints. I thin my primer to hell and gone. And that stuff is like,
too.
Yeah, that stuff is like magic for character minis. And that brings up an interesting thing. And I want to know your opinion on this very much, Bill. You're talking about a white primed mini will glow and have a more whimsical feel. Darker primed minis, whether it's gray or if you're mass painting and you're just like, I have 40 cobalts to paint, I'm priming them red. And then I'm just going to start slot painting details on top of my primer coat. But regardless, I like to have characters primed white so that they do have that glow and stand out a little bit on the tabletop from the monsters and the terrain if I'm using a lot of Dwarven Forge.
Right. I did see a question in here from Von Gifford. Do primers thin with water, acetone? You can, like, water-based acrylic primers, you can definitely do that with. I use Flow Aid from Vallejo, Flow Improver is what they call it, but it's basically just
Flow Improver is what I use. Flow Aid or what is the one? Kids, don't buy this. Don't buy any GW paints or tools or supplies. But what in GW,
they're nippers. They're nippers, though. They're old school metal nippers. If you find those, they're gold. I have some of their old school ones. Their new ones are junk. But if you find the old school metal nippers that have like whole metal body frames, those are gold. Those are gold. That's the only GW product that I will really kind of stand behind.
But Lamian Medium. Lamian, Lhamian, I think is how it's spelled, medium. If you are absolutely just like, you're in a one-horse town and that horse is owned by Games Workshop and you have to paint. You're just like, I'm dying. I need to paint. I got a D&D game tomorrow. Got to have a painted mini for it. Lamian Medium is your thinning medium from GW. But...
yeah. And any kind of thinning medium like that will work out just fine. And trust me, it'll improve your, it'll help improve the flow of the paint off the brush. So doing smaller, minute details, if you're somebody who's, just starting out and you're trying to get those details, a little bit of Flow Aid, it might be worth your investment. I mean, I know you're already putting up an arm and a leg between the models and the paints and just getting some craft brushes from wherever you can get them. Use what you got, but like if you find that you like it and you want to kind of keep progressing and honing your hobby, a little bit of that Flow Aid is like butter. It's very nice stuff to use. I can't go back anymore.
And if you're absolutely in a place where like there are no hobby shops, and again, it's desperation time, distilled water. I promise wherever you are, you have a Kroger, you have a Publix, you have a Safeway, you have a Walmart, you have a Winn-Dixie, an Aldi. Somebody will sell you a bottle. It's generally on the first aid aisle or in the baby products, a bottle of distilled water. It's like 99 cents for a jug. It has, because there's no iron in it, or there shouldn't be any iron, any salt, any calcium, just like a 4-to-1 on that will thin your paints and they'll flow better. Flow Improver's best. I actually do both. I'll do a little drop of distilled water and a drop of Flow Improver and really get that sink out of your paint, so it goes into the mini, which is what it should do.
And and if we're kind of on the talking about if you're trying to get a hold of this and that there's nowhere to get it from, you can go here on YouTube and there are some pretty reputable sources out there. I think, within the first couple of videos, you'll find a pretty reputable source for this. But you can make your own, basically out of some Windex. If you can get a hold of it, glycerin or like soap, like it's just a little, like a very diluted, surfactant is what it is. It's kind of like soap, a surfactant agent for your paints, and the Windex is in there for the ammonia to help it dry off. Another really handy tool to use too is paint retarder, which is a kind of chemical agent that you can put in your paint that will slow the drying process. It's really nice for if you're doing eyeballs or something like that. I didn't have any on hand. I was hoping to do a little more detail on the eyes for Azarath, but I didn't have any on hand. But if you mix a little bit of that paint retarder in with your mix, it's very nice, because by the time you have dipped your number 000 brush or whatever into the paint, which has, 000 is a very small brush, but by the time you have that dipped in the paint and like ready to get it on the model, you're lined up, you're going to put that little dot on there. The paint's already dry. It's working life is gone.
The flow of air going over the bristles as you move it from the palette to the mini dries the paint. If you get enough paint on it that it doesn't dry, you've got too much paint, and when you blot it on the eye, it just goes blah. They look like it's a mess. That
iconic Space Marine meme you see floating around, like good painting, or what is it? Good mini or not? I can't remember the name of that site. I haven't seen it in a long time, but
cool mini or not. Cool
mini or not. The guy that's just kind of got a big old like pink blob for a head and some eyes that are like mismatched on the model. Yeah, I love that one. That's my favorite.
Yeah.
That should be my
mascot. Verdict on wet palettes. I love them if I'm painting long enough. These days I tend to slop paint a lot, so it's like, I've shown off the manticores that I did when I was in a hurry, like the afternoon before I ran White Plume Mountain, where the manticores show up. I was not using a wet palette. I was squeezing paint into ketchup cups that I stole from Wendy's. I was like, I am not going to reuse this. Blah 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 blah. It only had
on there, right?
Yeah, exactly. It only had to look good from about 5 feet away with that camera on a 1080p web feed. And half of my players were on mobile devices anyway, so it wasn't that big of a deal. But if I'm sitting down and I'm painting characters like I should be, I'll break out a wet palette. And a wet palette, guys, go to your supermarket, get a Gladware 4-pack of sandwich boxes. They're like 8 inches square. Get a roll of parchment paper, come home, soak a paper towel in water, fold it up, put it in the bottom, put a piece of parchment paper and trickle some water, just droplets of water on it. The parchment paper will curl up, then it'll uncurl. Congratulations, you've got a wet palette. And if you put the lid,
if you take care of it, keep the lid on there, cycle the water out or whatever, change your paper towel, it'll last you like a very long time before that thing gets to the point you need to do anything with it.
Yeah. The one thing I can advise you is if you open it up and you're like, oh, it's still moist and the paints are still looking, and then you get hit with a smell of mildew, just put the lid back on and throw it in the recycling. Don't subject yourself to fungal hazards, but otherwise you're good.
Sticking it in the fridge too, you can get your paint to last a little while longer in the fridge.
I found that. Not the freezer.
Not the freezer. No. I've got a little mini fridge underneath the paint station downstairs. This isn't the actual Paint Minis live studio, but I've got like a little mini fridge down there with like Mountain Dew and all the other gamer goodies. And I'll just I toss it down in there. It's but it'll make your paint last a little longer. It's wonderful.
Nice. I used to have a bar fridge out here in the cave, but I don't anymore for reasons that I'm not going to launch into right now. But I did not know that. I would have kept paint in it. So speaking of putting things in other things,
oh boy.
I think it's time to approach, arguably, and there's going to be some backstory with this, one of the coolest factors about this mini. Now, I've mentioned this before, but when I was a kid and I first saw She who would become Azarath in the Zara's department store. The thing that blew me away, and I thought like everybody's minis were this cool at the time. Like it set a really high bar. And so I've been constantly disappointed for almost 50 years or 40 years because of that. Cool. But Grenadier actually included glass gemstones to go on this mini.
Yeah, I'm excited for this, everybody.
When I bought this kit and saw that it came with the gemstones, not just with like, oh yeah, you know, I went to Hobby Lobby. These are the real deal. They are in an envelope right here, unopened. In nice. Wherever, gosh, where was it? Did I put it back? What I do with it? Here it is. If I can find the paper. So well, it doesn't say what city, what town, but wherever Grenadier is in their production line, these gemstones went into this bag and it was stapled shut. And so they have been since no more recent than 1980. Tonight, we're going to give Azarath what she is due. We're going to pay the tithe to Azarath right now. I am going to switch over. So we're going to do this.
Bill, if Kate Bush doesn't start playing when you open that bag, I'm going to be really disappointed.
I don't think she will, but I can sing. No, I can't. No, I can't actually. All right, so let's go to Studio View 2. And wow, that camera has gotten completely janked up there. Let me see if I can bring that back down in. Oh, I know what I did. I actually made the image. You know what? That's actually good. You guys don't need to see my face anyway. I am going to use a pair of tweezers and I'm going to put the giant diamond in Azarath's hand, and then I'm going to put the little diamonds on the base. I've got some Gorilla Glue over here, and I'll walk you guys through this as I do this. This is how anal I am about this. I'm going to bend the staples of the plastic envelope. I'm not just going to tear the envelope open. So here we go. Bill, can you hear me?
I sure can.
Okay, good. I just wanted to make sure everyone could hear you. I'm going to go over here. I'm going to do this, and you can be our color man up in the booth if you want, Bill, while I do this. But I'm going to pry the staples open. They will go back in the box. Yes, I'm being like that.
This is like the christening of the dragon, guys. It's like this is the little nerd ceremony happening right here. We're holding the nerd seance with these gemstones.
Yes.
Isn't it great to be a geek? You know, I like that little saying.
In the name of the Gygax, the Arneson, and the Jim Ward.
Amen.
Amen. All right. Or a D&D men.
Sure, yeah. There
All
you go.
So there is, freed from the swing line stapler, what drove it there all those years ago. The staple has been removed.
The nerdening. I like that one, Kabuki Kid. The nerdening.
The nerdening. So I'm going to very carefully, I'm going to place the gems on a white surface that's off to the side over here. Look at this, guys. Look at that.
Oh, wow, man. I thought it was going to yellow with that much age, but it really hasn't.
No.
That is still really, that is beautiful.
Yeah. I don't know if this is plastic or if this is glass. It doesn't, I can't tell. I'm not good with heft on that. But the first thing I'm going to do is I have some Gorilla Glue here. And I am going to put a dab of glue. Yes, I'm going to put a dab of glue on the back of the diamond, and I'm going to set it down in her outstretched, waiting hand.
Oh, Bill, it's fallen over.
Oh, yeah, I see. Okay. She couldn't bear the anticipation, so let's see if I can set her up a little bit. That'll have to do for now.
Indeed.
All right. So we're just going to do that, and we're going to unscrew the glue. And again, folks, this is a miniature. This is for tabletop. Oh, it fell over. Oh, no. Minis do that. Minis fall over.
Yeah. And the paint job will hold up, too. This is sealed in like 4 coats of matte varnish. Pretty heavy, I might add, coats of matte varnish. So, I mean, it'll definitely stand up to some tear. That's for sure. They're asking the dungeon minister for a blessing. That's great. Oh my gosh.
Get that.
You guys in the chat are cracking me up over here.
The chat is pretty good. The chat is pretty darn good. I probably didn't let her cure enough, so that's on me. Let me see if I can get her to sit still a little bit. All right. So she has her diamond.
There we go.
Now we're going to place the small ones. And I have a total of 5 of those. One definitely goes in the bowl. We're going to go the opposite way this time. I'm going to put a drop of glue on the base because the small gemstones themselves are way too small to have glue on, if that makes sense.
Right.
I feel now I'm going to.
Cal's asking, best to do a gloss than overspray with matte varnish for better protection. I mean, I just kind of choose matte because, you know, I want the paint to speak for itself. I'm not huge on gloss unless if it's something like, you know, you're going to do like a robot or something like that, that really kind of, in my opinion, calls for a gloss. I'm not really a gloss guy. But matte will definitely protect your mini. Matte varnish alone, any kind of varnish, I guess, will keep it on there. It's the magical save point of mini painting, so to speak. If you shoot it with some matte varnish, you can paint right over that. It's like kind of like a save point in a video game. Little helpful tip for you there. Man, does this feel good though? I'm not gonna lie. This feels great. Having a project conclude like this is pretty high up there on my my mini painting list, so to speak.
Getting her done was listen up, Lord. I said not the bucket list item for me. So,
all right, I'm glad I could nick that one off for you.
Yes,
it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun, man. I'm not gonna lie.
So I am just adding these gems on one at a time, and I know you guys can't see it, but bear with me. Oh, there's a beautiful emerald I got. Perfect placement, perfect product placement. I got to get one in that open treasure chest.
Oh yeah. No problem, Vaughn. I'm a man of the people. So is Bill. He's just a bit busier. He's out there, you know, if you guys want to give him a couple of bucks, you know, with your monthly subscription, he's sitting there he's slaving away over a hot keyboard, man. I'm telling you, he's going to make some fun little modules for you guys if you decide to, give him a couple of bucks to further his time investment in the Dungeon Delver community, so to speak. But I'm a man of the chat. Don't worry, I got your back. Did I feel pressure on this project? I put a lot of pressure on myself on this project just because I wanted to get home to Bill. I didn't pressure myself on, you know, I made sure to take my time with it and to do the best job that I could. But I also was doing a ton of painting. And if you go look at my channel right now, There is kind of a dry spell, mainly because after I was done with this project, I was like, it's time for a vacation. So I ended up going on vacation and a couple other things, but and I'll be going on vacation again. But I'm going to put a little more pressure on myself. We're painting up for season 2 of Paint Minis Live, which I'm just kind of putting all the major projects and the seasons. We'll be doing up the Horde of the Dead for the Dungeon Minister. We've got about like 40 skeleton warriors to paint up for his D&D game that he does for his family. And if you want to check that out, we should be starting pretty quick here. I've got a couple extra things that I got to get done to really make sure that season 2 is going to be a real good one. But yeah, we're going to be starting that project pretty soon. So that was kind of some of the pressures I put on myself, was just to make sure that from the time Bill shipped it, he got it back in a reasonable amount of time, was kind of my big goal there. Because every dragon needs a home, right, Bill?
Right. Absolutely. And we are almost there. Come on. No, don't glue yourself to the tweezers. Don't glue yourself.
You'll be sitting there peeling that off for days there, Bill, with between your thumb and your forefinger.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I've had many of that happen.
And that did just happen. So I now have. All right, come on. Stop sticking.
Collecting chaos. Yeah, I find that I've seen those like massive magnifying glasses that you can literally like kind of like that are on a kind of pivoting arm that you can screw onto your desk, or like not onto it, but it's got like a clamping mechanism. Maybe that could help you if you're still into doing, specific miniatures that are maybe smaller. But I have a couple of little magnifying glasses on opposable arms and stuff that I've got downstairs to do stuff. I mean, just that eye strain will catch you. This model was big enough that I didn't really need to do any of that, but yeah,
okay,
the smaller D&D stuff will.
Look at that.
Oh, purdy. Show them the shield there, Bill. I want to see that ruby with the shield, the white and blue shield. I thought that shield came out really nice. A little bit more to your. There you go. Nice. That is looking really cool.
Yeah, I'll have to give Azarath's base a better chance to cure than she currently has. But fortunately, you know what? Hang on, I'm gonna show off Bill's packing here, because the box it's right over here. Hold on a second, guys. Bill will be right with you. Hold on.
Sure thing. I was so determined to make sure this thing wasn't gonna get damaged on its way to Florida, even though it did. But I was super determined to make sure it didn't. And you'll see the about maybe, I don't know, 45 minutes worth of foam cutting, and I there was like packing peanuts, and like there was a Smurf in there just like hugging it, I think, and maybe like a halfling in there too, just to give it some counterbalance. And the last two I'm kind of joking about, but yeah, it was packed like a tank. I just kind of find it funny that 500, 600, however many miles it is to Florida is basically a basketball dribble with this dragon, unfortunately. But to be honest, it at least nothing truly broke. Just kind of bends in the metal, which was nice to see that Azarath made it home relatively unscathed. This came all the way from Minnesota, is where PML is based out of. We're in the Minnesota state,
Okay, guys.
all the way up north.
Let me get back in here and switch Yawn camera back on.
I sent it back on FedEx. Their Road March. That's that was who I chose to ship it out.
Okay, so oh, Vaughn, thank you for the super. I missed that earlier. It's a YouTube thing, by the way. It's not a me thing that does this, but basically for supers, like the smaller the amount, the shorter the notification I get on YouTube, which isn't fair to you guys. I think they should be like, if somebody supers me, and it's happened, if somebody supered me $200, it would stay up for like an hour, and then I could get like Vaughn could super me, and then it's like I look over here, I'm like the Robotech box set, and I look back and Vaughn's super is gone. You know, I think you should be able to set like this much time for each super, because I appreciate, if somebody's like, I have $5 extra that I can do something dopey fun with, and I'm going to send Bill a super chat. Well, you know, somebody who's got $200 that they just burning a hole in their pocket. I mean, you're both equally important. So
it's just kind of nice to, you know, I think for me, I've and this journey on YouTube so far is that I've found that people just responding or you know, interacting, you know, it makes me feel like I'm seriously contributing back to the greater gaming community as a whole, you know, and that's having some recognition to it. It really drives me to continue to keep painting, you know, get through that pile of shame, you know. And
right on.
You know, I'm sure it's gotta feel good for you too when people come back and say, you know, hey, here's a little something for you, and thanks for doing what you do, you know.
Unquestionably, dude, unquestionably. So I just want to show you guys real quick. I ran over and got it. This is like the bulletproof packing that Bill did, and that's not sarcasm. This is a really great job of packing that he did. So this was actually in. Let me make sure I get this oriented properly, Bill. You can yell at me later if I didn't. So this is in 3 layers. So this layer here, it was like that. That's right. Yeah. There we go. So this layer had the treasure pile, one of the free baby dragons, and I think the egg pile was in there. And then sticking up from this middle section was Azarath herself. And then the bottom, there's a just like a solid sheet. And I mean, when I saw how well packed this was, I was like, oh, that's so awesome. And then I open the box and I see what FedEx did with it. And I mean, you know, you can see it's got some flexion on it. So thanks for nothing.
I just want to. Can you show that to him? Like all the sides of the box. I got so many of those fragile stickers. It's on like almost every side. Fragile. And the box that you got, I think I'd written fragile on it, and I know there was. It had a sticker on it, but I was like, if I put one of these on every side, there's no way that somebody is not going to know it isn't fragile. But you know, what do you do? I guess, you know, they're working hard. Maybe things fall through the cracks. I'm sure. But that
is a generous point of view.
I'm a dragon, more jeweled than less. You know, kind of person, Art Bill.
So I have to share though real quick. This is the funny story, because every time I would see Bill painting the mini, when I could catch his live streams, because somebody doesn't pay attention to my weekly schedule and decided to just drop his live streams willy-nilly without coordinating with me, Bill. But anyway, no, I'm just teasing you. But when I'd watch your streams, you talk about, like, you know, oh, this piece getting completed and that piece getting completed, and then it'll all be completed. But I was never seeing the baby dragon that I sent with you.
Yeah.
I started to panic, because I'm like, okay, I thought, Okay, crap. Did it fall out of the baggie, then slide out of the box, and is now flattened into a disc on the floor of a postal worker's boot? What?
Right.
What?
Right.
What? So finally, he's talking about it, and I may have even mentioned it. But you're like, yeah, here it is. And I was like, oh, thank God. And then I start looking at the box. Like 5 minutes of non-panic attack. I start looking at the box, and the box is like, eggs, baby dragons, plural. And then I had another panic attack, so I start digging through the bits box, and these baby dragons are like the size of 3 grains of rice.
They're really tiny.
They are tiny, tiny, tiny. And so I have both of the unpainted baby, because when he got down to that point and had the baby dragon, I was like, dude, I know that like you're losing certain spectra of vision because you're just staring at red and yellow paint constantly. I think I can red, ink, highlight, and then the baby dragons are done. So yeah, he sent that back with my countenance. I didn't want to put you through like another. Just paint his little eyeballs in with that anymore. But I have.
Part of the problem was that I've been using this kind of cheap $40 Chinese knockoff Iwata airbrush that I got from Spray Gunner, and it kind of just crapped the bed on me one day, and I was like, crap, because it's the perfect airbrush to run primer through, because it's $40. Like I've gotten so much use out of it at this point. If I need to buy another, I will. Like, it's like kind of a disposable brush for me at this point. I've had it for so long, but and it crapped out, and I was like, man, it's going to be a pain to try and prime this in the weather conditions at the time and to like, get it to actually be painted. So I do appreciate that you don't mind that it's coming back to you. At least they'll both match now. You've got they'll have matching paint jobs to your liking.
Yes, and when you and I confab later, this is something like I had wanted to have this set up, but time just kind of got away from me this evening with cooking dinner and everything. But perhaps the next show you're on, you can tell me everything that's wrong with the airbrush setup that I have, and give us some advice on what constitutes. Or I can come on your show. Come on your show. We can use your bandwidth. We can use your StreamYard account, and we can walk through that. But in the hinterland between then, I do want to talk to you about fixing up where her wing kind of folded into her elbow and debrided all the paint on one of the ribs. So we can work on that on the private. But in the overall, I got to say, I love the Mini. I'll figure something out with the basing. And at this point, I'm not 100% sure what I'm going to do or how I'm going to do it. But she will be based. But the gems are on. And I am just I'm in love with it, man. I'm in love with it. I cannot wait to turn this thing loose on my players.
If I can take just like a minute or two more. First off, I got to thank Cal for bringing me to 50, because I sometimes I have a lot more free time when I'm away from my studio. And until you hit 50, YouTube doesn't let you use your cell phone for live streaming.
That's weird.
I know. The first Red Dragon video that I did, the live stream that I did, I had to do it from a cruddy old laptop, because I brought a nice little stand for my phone to sit on while I was painting and stuff. But that was thank you very much for your kindness, Sir Cal. And Christopher, what's a question? Well, I guess which bill?
Yeah, which bill? It reminds me, I was working a retail job one night, and we had one of the employees. It was the manager. Her dad called, and can I speak to Lisa? And I grabbed the phone. We're working. It's a music store in the mall, and I answered the phone. I said, can I speak to Lisa? And I looked over, and she and another manager and a couple of employees were kind of standing in a group near the front of the store. And I looked over and I said, "It's for you." And they're all like, "For you. It's for you. Will you come and get?" And of course and finally Lisa stomps over and she answers the phone, and she like after her conversation, she says, "My dad thought that was hilarious." So I was doing dad jokes in my 20s. It is a thing. So whichever Bill, let's see.
I think he wants to know how did you join the pieces in the miniature? I think it was what he wanted to.
Oh, joining the pieces of the miniature. Let me. Hey, you're up to 52 now.
This has been a very productive evening. Thanks, friends.
It is. Okay, so with a metal miniature with heavy pieces, generally what you want to do is now some people use a pin vise, but I'm gonna tell you a little secret trick. You don't have to go buy a pin vise. Go buy an X-Acto knife that has a switchable blade, a screw-on blade, and a set of basic Dremel drill bits, and a box of paper clips. A small paper clip that, just the ones that are like an inch long. That's 2 centimeters in the communist measurement system. Those paper clips are the same diameter as the 132 drill bit. You carefully unscrew the tip, take the blade out, set it aside, put the 132 drill bit in there, you tighten it down, and then you slowly bore a hole in the metal. White metal is soft enough that it will give way before those little nickel drill bits that you get for Dremels, and the smallest one is narrow enough that it will fit in the center and yet hold tight. You don't have to go buy a Dremel. And in fact, if your metal miniature is small enough and the pieces that you're trying to join are fine enough, you don't want to use a motorized Dremel, because you will zip right through the piece, right into your finger, or you will destroy the piece, or you will drill into it and the torque will send it flying somewhere. Ask me how I know these things. So a pin vise and paper clips, and then what you put your paper, you put a little bit of crazy glue on your paper clip, you slide it into your hole. Now you may have to rasp the hole out. What you do is you drill all the way in, and then you pull the drill back out. You don't unscrew it back out. You pull the drill back out, and it grabs any detritus and yanks it out. You may have to do that a few times. But then you dry test your paper clip to make sure it goes into the depth you want. You slide it into the socket you just made, and you trim it off with just a couple of millimeters sticking out, and then you repeat the drilling process on the piece that you want to join. A little bit of super glue, and you pin it. It will never come undone. It will never come undone. Plastic minis, don't bother pinning. Cyanoacrylite will hold it. Let me tell you something.
There's the Bill Sylvie metal mini secret sauce for all you guys out there wanting the pro tips.
I 3D printed these rocks. The wings I printed separately. I glued into sockets. I bumped this on the table. The CA glue didn't break. The wing broke further up. That's how good. That's how good it holds on 3D printed plastic. So plastic minis, don't bother pinning unless the thing is just huge. Like, you're doing like a 40K mini that's like the size of an apple. And you're just like, man, I'm worried about that las cannon. Then you can do the same thing. Paper clip. It's a lot easier to drill into. A big metal mini like that Dragon, in some places, you can get away with using the motorized Dremel. When I bored out her foot, which I'm probably going to have to do again, but when I bored out her foot, I did use a motorized Dremel because, one, the drill bit I used was not big enough to go into was too big to fit in the pin vise, and two, I had to go in like a half an inch through solid metal.
Mm-hmm.
So
see, I was thinking about that while you're talking about this, Bill, and I'm almost wondering, since it's having such a hard time in that position that it's in, do you think, maybe some kind of like quick set clay, or I don't know if it's called like polymer clay or what it's called, but something like that wrapped around the inside of the ball of the foot, just to give it some.
You know what? I'm going to try some epoxy. I got pretty good with epoxy when I had a supply, and that's what I'm going to use to fix the wing. So I may try epoxy next. Basically, I just build up epoxy in kind of a reverse cone, around the foot to just set it on there and just hope for the best. And I'll go with that.
There you go.
Chris has questions for you now.
Yeah. Any other tips? I guess my biggest tip is like, if you enjoy, painting minis or if you haven't even tried it and you just want to like try it, you can pick up something at your local, like, hardware store or garden shop or something like that, like a little trinket or even like, a thrift store. Just go pick up some small little trinket, whatnot, prime it, just experiment, play with it, see if it's cathartic to you. That's it is very relaxing for me. It's a wonderful way to let those creative juices flow and kind of channel the stress of everyday life kind of into my work in a hobby way. But have fun with anything in life. Enjoy it, have fun.
Unquestionably.
If I could, Bill, I'd like to. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, regarding having fun, a lot of people have said to me over the years, like, I don't want to paint minis. I just want to play D&D. I'd like to have minis and it looks cool, but I don't want to paint minis. Don't. Mm-hmm. Then don't. Yeah. Look, if you don't enjoy it, don't make yourself miserable. You know what? I know people who will say, this is rare, but I know people who've said, oh, I want to play a fantasy role-playing game. I'm going to write my own. They'll go out and they'll invent the wheel for every genre, whether they base it on like an open D6 system, like Hero System, or something else like that. They'll go out and do it. I don't want to do that. That sounds like the exact opposite of fun. So I don't.
Yeah.
And if you're
find somebody who does, find somebody who does, give him a couple bucks, or whatever. Some guy that really likes doing it. I'm sure he'd be tickled pink to paint your mini. Somebody trustworthy, obviously, but
Yeah, so somebody, maybe in the Midwest, maybe they've got a small YouTube channel they're trying to grow. Maybe, they're really good at things and have a great humor about that sort of thing. And, I think we can all guess who I'm talking about. My buddy, John Harrison, of course, up in Chicago. I'm kidding. I'm talking about PML. But do you do commissions? Do you do paid commissions on paints?
I've been thinking about it for a while now, and my problem is kind of pricing structure. I don't know. Maybe that's something you might have some ideas on if you. But I haven't really figured out a pricing structure for it. But I would really love to do some commissions. If anyone wants to send me a duplicate, Grenadier Dragon to have it painted up in whatever you'd like, I think I tossed it out there. If you're my first commission, $150 for that dragon, I'll do it. It'll be just what you want, and free shipping too.
There you go. And it's worth it. And look, to flip to the flip side of that, let me tell you something. Now Bill already knows this. By the way, I saw that's Sparta Nerd. Cheeky breaky blit. But
thanks for coming. That's my buddy.
Suka blit. But if you're making your own business, you're making your own way in painting minis, and you're like, I'll paint minis for $10 a piece. Raise your left hand, turn it to like 90 degrees to your face, and then just hit yourself with it a few times. Don't pay yourself less than minimum wage to paint a mini. Your time is valuable. Your time has value.
That's true.
If anyone says exposure to you, they'd better be talking about a loved one being found in the desert. I am at Bill's feet in gratitude for painting this mini for me. For channel.
I'm right back at you, because I wouldn't have organically growing is very difficult right now on YouTube with the way that they've got things set up. And it was kind of a big godsend that you reached out and things went down the way it did. And I really do appreciate it, because I was kind of chugging along on a couple of different projects, not really having a big idea on where to go with it. But you and your community have really stepped up and said, hey, this is cool, keep doing this. And I think we're right there in the middle. We're square there, Bill. We're definitely square. I've had so much fun with this that
I'm glad. And I mean, my story of coming to see this mini as a kid, to want this mini, to finally acquire this mini, and then to have sat on it for so long, and this great interaction I've had with you in getting the mini painted, I think is an epic worthy of Tolkien, at least. Anyway, Kabuki Kid is asking the important questions. What brand of Git Fiddle is that behind you?
Yeah, that's so this guy back here is a Epiphone Dobro. It's kind of a guitar with a big metal, they call it like a spider web in it, but it's a kind of it's like an electric guitar before they made electric guitars. It's kind of got its own speaker mechanism in there. Really interesting.
An electric guitar? Look, don't fret about it. I'm sorry, that was a terrible joke. I didn't mean to string you.
That was good. I like that one.
Well, I figured you enjoy it. You're pretty based, but I didn't mean to string you along like that. I can pick out jokes like this all night long, but we're just gonna let this go and find other horrible puns.
Yeah.
Epiphone Dobro, Blit.
Yeah. I've got a SG to cherry red Gibson SG. I think I alluded to this before that I know you're a big Zeppelin guy, Bill, but my favorite band is from your co-host Kyle. His country way down under there, the good old brothers Malcolm and Angus of AC/DC. That's my favorite band.
Absolutely,
I had to have that guitar, baby.
Right on.
But, I did just want to take a quick minute and say, if just for everybody that's now kind of come aboard on the PML train, season 2 is coming up pretty soon. And anybody else who's just joining, if you want to come over and take a look at the painting of the Red Dragon, go check it out at Paint Minis Live. We also have a website, paintminislive.com. You can go in there and check out our friends of the show, Dungeon Minister, the lovely one and only Bill Sylvie here from the Dungeon Delver, and RPG Grandma. They've been huge friends of the show. But you can check out our website, whatever you'd like, But I just kind of wanted to give a plug before the night was over.
Excellent. Thank you very much. But there was one thing I just wanted to mention real quick. Who was it that said this? Danny H said Resonator.
Yeah, Resonator.
I hardly knew her. Yeah, I'm sorry. Wave and Mutilation. Those of you guys out there, I will not say Wolf Mother is a bad band. I don't think Wolf Mother is a bad band. But when somebody came at me and said, "Hey, if you like Led Zeppelin, listen to Wolf Mother," I think it. No, I mean, I get the sound, right? Like it does, but man, it's not like, I've listened to the discography like 11 times in a row. That's, that makes Led Zeppelin 44, right? Wolf Mother, I like them, but they're no substitute for Led Zeppelin, if that makes sense. You know, I'm not slamming them. I'm not saying they're a bad band. If I want Zepp, I want Zepp, you know?
Right. If you want a Coke and, all they got's Pepsi, I might just go to the restaurant next door and get a Coke.
Exactly. Kabuki says best Led Zeppelin album. Oh, that's an easy one. You're throwing out the easy ones. That's Physical Graffiti. Ask a difficult question, please. No, best Zeppelin album is Physical Graffiti. And I'm gonna say though, best Zeppelin song, and this is so cliched, best Zeppelin song is Stairway to Heaven, because it shows off everything that's great about Led Zeppelin. Every aspect of good.
Yeah. I would say Led Zeppelin and their Stairway to Heaven is technically a pretty challenging song, and not only that, but it's like on the technical aspect, but also just very well written too.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for the fact that my first ever Led Zeppelin song that I heard was the Immigrant Song, that one to me is my favorite, because that was the first one I heard. But Stairway is the second for me on Zeppelin.
Yeah, I mean, Stairway puts on display every aspect of Led Zeppelin, and it puts on, and they show those aspects so well. You have blues in it. You have, their devotion to poetics. You have Robert Plant starting with a soft, almost inaudibly quiet voice to this triumphant wail. The way John Paul Jones and John Bonham and Jimmy Page's guitar and bass and drums literally intertwine and play off of each other in the finale. It is one piece of music. You can't say, I'm going to play the guitar piece of Stairway to Heaven. It's like saying, I'm going to drive my car down the street, but just the wheels and axles.
Right. It all has to work together, right? I found that out the hard way working on, I just got done actually last night on composing at least the first draft of the theme song for Paint Minis Live Season 2. I put out for a vote. People wanted funk as the theme song. So I just got done composing that. And
I can't wait to hear it.
Composing music is such a mind-boggling endeavor. The people like Led Zeppelin, like just anybody in the music industry that's actively making their own music, none of this ghostwriter stuff, but that's actively making their own music, the talent and the time, the sheer amount of time to make something like that is
right. Like the guys at this is shameless plug here. They're mentioned in the credits. Can I find it? No, I can't put my hands on it right now. The guys at Bards of Greyhawk, they sat me down. I got interviewed about what kind of music that I liked. Like what did I think set the tone for the show? And I'm old school AD&D, right? That's my primary focus. If somebody said, look, you can't talk about any other role-playing games, the people that own Traveller don't want you to talk about anything GDW related. Same for this, that, and the other. But AD&D you can talk about. I'd be fine with that, because I'd hate it. But the theme music that I have for the show, Summer Mountains, that was written by Bards of Greyhawk, I'm in awe of it. They sat me down and they're like, what is your thrust? What is the main thing? And I thought about it, and I thought about what I was saying about that. And when I said, well, pick some of the milder stuff off of Led Zeppelin's catalog. Maybe some Allman Brothers, maybe some of the quieter Allman Brother bits, right? And they were like, right, Allman Brothers and Led Zeppelin, gotcha. And a week later, they give me this
that magic
3-minute song, this 3-minute. You guys only get to hear like 35 seconds of it, but they gave me this 3-minute acoustic jam that does not sound out of place in a playlist of, like, if you just said mellow Led Zeppelin. Right now, No Immigrant Song, yes, Black Summer, White Mountainside. It would fit in with that quite nicely.
Kabuki Kid is totally right in the chat. You know, all it took was a guitar question to derail the rock and roll train.
Oh, we have busted
pun
through.
For you, but
we have busted through the retaining fence and are on our way down the side of the mountain at this point, as far as D&D. Yeah,
right. It's the Wabash Cannonball of
it is. It really is. When am I going to post the whole song? Vaughn Gifford asked.
Put it on the Discord, man. You should definitely put it on the Discord.
Unless
you got some kind of licensing or something you got to deal with them with.
Owl Bear belongs to me. Okay. The song by Bob Antone, which is a lot of fun, and he performed, and he was just like, "Here you go, kid." I was like, "Holy crap! Thank you so much." So it is wholly owned by me, so I can play all of it. I need to double check. With the guys at Bards of Greyhawk. If they say it's okay, I will, one of these nights, maybe on a Thursday, I will just come in and I'll be like, you know what? We're just going to close out the show. I'm going to play all of Summer Mountain for you guys. I think I'm okay. I don't think they'll mind, but I do want to be conscientious about it because they license Summer Mountains to me in exchange for me constantly they're in the end credits. I talk about Bards of Greyhawk all the time. So
yeah, it's good to give credit where credit is due. That's for sure.
It is. It really, really is. And it's like, I've said this before. The reason I don't do this on Facebook Live is I was just tooling around Facebook one day. I used to split the streams. I would stream to Facebook and I'd stream to YouTube at the same time. And it was a lot of fun having folks on Facebook and on YouTube commenting and stuff like that. This was even before I hit 1,000 subs. I was like, because I started on Facebook and I didn't want to lose my audience on Facebook and say, well, you can, because some people said, I hate YouTube. I'm not signing up for YouTube. So I figured out how to do dual streams and everything was hunky-dory. And one day I sign into Facebook and I've got a message waiting for me, an automated message from Facebook. This is, hey, an hour and 24 minutes or whatever it was. It was over an hour into your show for this timestamp to this timestamp. We think you're using copyrighted music. At that time, I wasn't using any music. There was no music in my show. And the timestamp was 1 second long. Their bot heard something in something I was saying and said, that's copyrighted music. And so there was a complaint page for me to fill in. It's like, if you think this is an error, please tell us why. We'll get back to you. I explained to them, here's the timestamp. It's 1 second long. I don't play any music. What are you talking about? And they never got back to me. And so until Facebook ever gets back to me, I won't stream on Facebook because I'm not going to get slapped with something that could resonate out across social media against me.
Right.
Sorry.
It's a tough gig. It's a tough, it's hard to, find. I try to put some background music and stuff in it. And I know that eventually I find a lot of copyright free music playlists, and for the most part I kind of get away with it, but I've contemplated about actually just building an album of 16 songs that can just play in the background that I own, that I create. It just takes a lot of time to do it, but if I create that, and just have it on a loop, I mean, the music will never change, but it's nice because when you'll see that if you go back and watch the dragon painting stuff, sometimes I just gotta get in there, I gotta get the work done, and I can't necessarily interact in the same way that that you kind of can, Bill, too, with the with this kind of format. And it's just really hard. The rules are constantly changing. The goalposts are moving. It's no set in stone totally rules around it. just kind of whatever they please, and you gotta kind of just bend over and hope for the best.
Yeah, it is. It's madness, and as creator, I hate it, and I understand you hate it. And I mean, and you're absolutely right. It changes every day. Every day it changes.
Yeah.
I could finally get up to that plateau of 10,000 subs, which will happen in my current raid in 2028, 2029. Anyway, I could reach that plateau and
Bill Sylvie, 10,000, 2024. Let's go. Let's push it. Everybody. Tell your friends. Tell your friends.
I want everybody in the chat to write. There's been as many as 30 people. If you're not subscribed to Bill T, go write down in the description, copy and paste the link to at Peyton Minis Live and go subscribe to his channel. I'm going to be very disappointed if he hasn't picked up at least 20 subs between today and tomorrow. Please, all of you, go subscribe to Bill T on Peyton Minis Live. But yeah, no, I'm gonna hit some plateau, and they're gonna be like, yeah, we looked at a video you did back in 2023 and have decided that we could hear you humming. Yeah, ASCAP has told us that you got 5 seconds to remove that video, or oh nope, sorry, your copyright struck.
Yeah.
And
I just wanted a platform to like share stuff with people. I mean, trying to get people in your corner, so to speak, or whatever, and the subscription thing, that it's fun. It's kind of a fun little game to play, and trying to spread the good word and get people over to your corner is a lot of fun. But it's like, holy crap, man! Just can we pump the brakes? Can we just get some like hardcore stone tablet style rules, that are like, we're adopting this for the next year at least, because I can see how that would be a huge problem for you in the future.
It is. It's bonkers, and it's bonkers for all creators. But listen, we could probably sit up all the rest of the night, and I certainly wouldn't have a problem with it, except I've been giving the high sign from the outer studio there. So
all right.
I'm going to give you the last word. Is there anything you would like to say in retrospect about the Dragon Project? If you had it all to do again, knowing now, would you do it?
Without a doubt, I would. I would definitely do it again. I'd do it again and again and again. I love that project so much. But I think my last parting words are going to be, thank you to Bill, and thank you to the Dungeon Delver community here. You guys are great people in the chat, great people to game with. I've played games with you guys. If you're watching this, like, he's got a Discord. Like, go join his Discord. The networking thing is insane. You can go and play pickup games with people who are just kind-hearted people and grounded people. And have a lot of fun. Like, it's a beautiful thing that Bill has built here. Go be a part of it. There's no better time than now to go and dig a little deeper and make some new friends and maybe even some lifelong friends out of just a little bit of time and effort and digging around and saying hi. But thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you, everyone. We'll be back tomorrow evening. I'm going to be running some Gamma World. I'm going to be playing some Gamma World. We've got a great Gamma World group. You don't want to miss that. Sci-Fi Fridays is a load of fun. So come stop by and check us out and see what's going on in the deadliest place on earth. But in the meantime, guys, keep your eyes open for the dread owlbear. Peace.
Have you seen my owl bear? Here's to all the weirdos everywhere in the woods and in the air. Have you seen my owl bear? Should I shave off all my hair? Bobs are all around. Some live in tunnels underground. Some are fat, some are rich, some are sleeping in a ditch. Can you ride a crooked horse without a saddle, way off course. Naked as a toad, all the way to Smoky Joe's. Have you seen the little creep driving fast in his little green Jeep? He smells like fish and brandy, but his rotten teeth look dandy. Take me to the show, I don't care if fast or slow. From action flicks to dancing dicks, just take me to the show.